Yo, so bro, y'all know how like Kendrick dropped that "Watch the Party Die"? For context, if you don't know who King Kendrick is, he's a rapper. All right, and people who do know Kendrick, you probably think I'm stupid for like explaining. But hey, some people just don't got the context, so you just sit tight while I explain. So Kendrick Lamar, he's a rapper, and I mean, if you really want the backstory, it was soon after he got announced to do the Super Bowl performance at halftime. And the Super Bowl is going to be in New Orleans. And there's another massive rapper from the 2000s, Lil Wayne, that's from New Orleans. And in the rap, in hip hop, it's pretty big. You rep your city. So for it to be in Old Boy City, and he's not hosting it, people thought that was kind of crazy. I don't know if it was a direct response to the chatter that Twitter was going with, or if it was just something he had in his back pocket. But nonetheless, he dropped the song "Watch the Party Die," and I guess the song really had me thinking, just because I feel like it actually applies to a lot of things depending on how you interpret it. Because when I talked to my brother about it, I realized like, yo, we saw it two completely different ways. Because Kendrick tends to be a little cryptic with his lyrics. But yeah, the interpretation that I saw it, like the way I interpret "Watch the Party Die," is kind of like it's basically it's a gatekeeper's national anthem. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like when you look at hip hop and how it started as this almost like radical movement and an expression of self. Kendrick Lamar's "Watch the Party Die" was just saying how like yo like we're just so far from what rap used to be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like it's more a commodity now because hip hop is one of the biggest genres, and it really I don't know. It made me see things differently. I'm not even trying to glaze Kendrick because like there's some people on Twitter that bow at his feet and do all kinds of crazy shit. That's not even me. I'm just saying like that piece of art that he created had me thinking about some other shit, and it made me realize how like it applies to everything. And I know that like yo, in the history of the internet, gatekeepers, whew, it's just like they could be like some of the most toxic motherfuckers ever. Like I understand, bro. But listen, just because we don't agree with gatekeepers and they tend to be, some of the most obnoxious people you've ever met, doesn't mean that like, it doesn't come from a place of love. And that's not love for you, but it is, love for whatever space they're occupying. Love nonetheless, you know what I mean? So let me land this plane just because I feel like, I'm kind of just I've delved too much into the big picture. Let's zoom in a little bit on where we're supposed to be. By virtue of attracting a larger audience and appealing to the masses, something can lose its essence. You know what I'm saying? An easy example of that, for example, is Tekken. You know what I'm saying? Like I am a casual in Tekken. I jumped in with the wave of Tekken 8. That shit was gas. I played a bunch of Tekken 8, but I will say, I like to deep dive into the thing that I'm doing. And when I was deep diving into Tekken 8, I realized that like, the old heads, you know what I mean? Like the Tekken veterans weren't really messing with Tekken 8 because it was just, too button mashy. People just like, it was just way too friendly to beginners and kind of, flattened the skill expression, making it so that it's harder for a person who's way better than me at Tekken to really, show the fruits of their labors, 30 fucking years in the making. You know what I'm saying? Well, not 30 years, but you get what I'm saying. Like, they really do this. I don't really do this. We should not be hanging with each other. You know what I mean? And I think that's valid. I think gaming in general, not even just gaming, but even like cinema. I think media in general at this point is starting to converge at the "Watch the Party Die" junction. I think there is that almost that event horizon. Shout out my physics folks. If you know about black holes, the event horizon, all right. I mean, let me just explain it. The event horizon is the point of a black hole where nothing can escape. The light gets too close to the black hole where it can't escape. And if light can't get out of that bitch, nobody can. So I feel like every industry kind of gets to that event horizon where the clout chase and like the pursuit of profits makes it changes something intrinsic about the original industry. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like where the people who were there when the shit was getting built up tends to kind of just back out and go do something else or like go make their own shit. And I think that, you know, just like recognizing that that happens is important, because I think it's like we just gotta humanize each other on the internet. I feel like a lot of times like we just don't really hear each other, and people just accuse other people of doing some crazy shit. But I do think that like we do have to recognize that as much as it's dope to bring in more money and more eyes to, you know, whatever industry, I feel as though we gotta recognize that with all this money and all this clout that comes, oftentimes like the product changes, and the people who really spent their time building up this community and building up this industry tend to be forgotten, you know what I mean? And that's kind of fucked up in my opinion, you know what I mean? Like I you know, where I live is pretty capitalistic, and it's all about like, you know, who can turn the biggest profit. But I think in the, especially when it comes to like art, so that would be like, you know, music, movies, video games, I think that there is some that, you know, just has to be preserved. You know what I mean? Like we do have to recognize that that there's something important here, something here worth protecting, that isn't just, you know, how much money did, you know, the One Piece manga make through sales. You know what I'm saying? How many action figures you're moving, you know, how many albums, you know, you're selling. There's an essence to things that needs to be protected. And, you know, I think that's something that Watch the Party Die didn't necessarily make me realize, but it did remind me of that fact. And also that it was happening so flagrantly to hip hop. You know, Watch the Party Die just applies to so many different industries. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, you know, the MCU, you know, after the utter peak that was Infinity War, Phase 4 was just mouth vomit, bro. Like, it was just like, how many more projects can we put out in the quickest amount of time? And we all saw how that shit turned out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know. That was just what was on my heart. And feel free to tell me that I'm bugging. Like, honestly speaking, like, I just really need y'all to understand. Like, I'm more so on this YouTube thing because I like to talk to people. I also like the sound of my own voice, but that's besides the point. I'm just a dude with an opinion, and I'm really just trying to, you know, make you comfortable enough to tell me what your opinion is. I'm not, you know, as some kind of authority. I used to deify, I guess, the YouTubers that I watch, but for real, like, tell me that I'm tripping. Tell me that I'm tripping. I'm going to be hypocritical on this shit. I'm going to tell you one thing, one video, and say the complete opposite the next. And I really do hope y'all can hold me to, you know, like, yo, you said this last time, like, you know, what happened, what changed, how's this different? Like, let's just have a conversation. Just keep it respectful. I'm all down for jokes. I like to think that, you know, I'm pretty fun to be around. We don't gotta, you know, address each other as their majesty. But, you know, let's just talk about it. Let me know what y'all are feeling, man. Anyways, sorry it took so long for me to come out with another video. I was just like, you know, I was going through some shit, but it is what it is, man. Anyway, I'll catch y'all for the next one. Peace.